Welcome to the Dustin Oldfather Show, your guide to living well, building wealth, and making smart real estate moves here in the Mid-Atlantic. Each week, we sit down with local experts, entrepreneurs, and industry pros to bring you real stories, strategies, and real advice. Whether you're just getting started or planning your next big move, we're here to make your journey a little bit smoother. Today, we have some things to talk about in the marketplace. As we headed into the tail end of Q1, we started to see several markets tip into a buyer's market. We've talked about this a couple times, but buyer's market would be where you're having inventory accumulation. More homes are coming on the market than are being sold. So buyers have a little bit more strength. It's a proxy for demand. And as you see demand go down, that also leads to moving down the demand curve and leads to lower pricing. We're not quite seeing that right now, though. So after Q1, we saw accumulation for many of the coastal markets moving into a buyer's market, and then started to see a little bit of price softening. The accumulation is actually going down at this, or is actually decumulating, seeing homes being absorbed faster than they are coming onto the market. So that is a strengthening sign. It does seem that the market has reacted to the political environment and expectations. We're seeing some easing on mortgage rates, which definitely gives people a little bit more strength and comfort. Across the board, I think people have gotten some comfort with the geopolitical environment and have gotten back to business as usual. As you move off of the coast, you get into a much faster market in Philadelphia, Wilmington, DC, Maryland. You're really still strongly in a seller's market, about 2 months of supply. It's not as strong as it was several years ago, so you still can get top dollar, but property does need to be positioned correctly. But at this point, you should expect more contingencies from buyers. In the DC metro market, they're now actually having home inspection requirements as a contingency, whereas in the past they were just completely waived. And so you're starting to see more contingencies come back in, which shows more strength for buyers. But if you're positioned correctly, then you're going to be just fine. It is a tale of two markets when it comes to sellers. If you're positioned correctly, then your property will sell relatively quickly in a reasonable amount of time, 30 to 45 days if you are on the coast, probably around 21 days if you're in the metro areas, 21 days or less. Now, if you're overpriced, meaning that you're priced significantly above where other comparables would be, have sold, the market is not responding well to those opportunities unless they are pristine. And so it makes great sense to test that pricing. We're seeing a lot more properties expire or be withdrawn in the marketplace. So while we're seeing many absorbed, a higher percentage than in the past decade are expiring than they have. And so if a property isn't positioned and marketed correctly and priced correctly, that homes are not selling. I just had 3 different clients reach out to me. They weren't able to sell their homes with other brokerages and have wanted to basically a refresh. So as you kind of go through this conversation and basically repositioning the property, you want to focus on a couple things. So just working with a client, we toured the property yesterday. I see that there's a little bit of a bird nest on the front door. The house looks great, but it's got some holes from some of the pictures. As you look out the back door, their neighbors have a boat that has got a really off-color name on the back that is just really gutturally offensive. And then there's missing some of the curb appeal. So house is great, but no landscaping. And I see landscaping could just be simple. See some petunias, a couple bushes, something that's going to actually bring some life to it. And so going through that process, they've moved out, so there's no furnishings. So it's barren. And we know that homes that are not staged stay on the market longer and typically sell for less. So as we reposition it, we're going to be focused on having a stager come in and bring in some bright notes, really make the property pop and feel good. A few pictures on the walls to anchor the space and make it feel homey. Getting the condition correct is really important when you reintroduce a property. Marketing is also critical. We use at Compass our 3-phase marketing approach, which is we test the pricing off market and share that with friends, family, sphere of influence, clients, our full database, all of the network of top agents in Compass across the region, which is where all of our buyers come from. Compass is the #1 brokerage in the country. So we have the best agents, and certainly some great ones at other companies, but the biggest collection across the board of high producers. And so we're basically testing your pricing and validating that. At the same time, you're not accumulating any days on market, so it's not a negative for you. If you're going to test your pricing on a new positioning, you may get your bid off market. It also creates a bit of an auction environment pre-market. If you hit it right, the property will bid up because they don't know who else is bidding and they don't know who else is going to be on the market. And they also are worried if they're interested in a property that when it goes to market, there'll be even more competition. So there's a premium for first access. If the property doesn't sell during that phase, then we want to make sure that we take it to our Compass Coming Soon, which drives all of the traffic for those inquiries to your agent. The goal is to make sure that the agent that gets the inquiry on your property, one, knows about it, can answer questions, and is focused on getting it sold, and then taking it to full market exposure through the MLS should that be necessary. And so we know when we follow this approach, homes sell for 3% more and 20% faster. So marketing is critical, and having that marketing plan in place is really important to getting a home sold. It is not set it and forget it. As a part of your marketing conversation, you have to think about pricing and compensation. So last year, the DOJ came to a settlement with NAR, which basically decoupled the commission conversation. Used to flow, compensation was from the listing brokerage to the buyer brokerage, and then they would pay the buyer's agent. The cash flow would come from the seller's contract at closing, then that would go to broker B. Broker B would pay buyer agent, broker A would pay listing agent, right? So that's how the flow used to be. What the DOJ wanted to do was to decouple those things, and so now they're paid directly. So the seller can pay the buyer's agent directly or pay the buyer broker directly and then pay the seller directly. So in this conversation, many people, with the hope that they wouldn't have to pay this commission to the buyer's agents, are withholding buyer agent compensation, which in a faster market, when you're down to a month of inventory, sometimes 2 months, is maybe a good strategy. What we know is that many buyers in the current marketplace, especially with their strengthening position by having more inventory and being able to add more contingencies, are less excited about paying buyer agent commission, which adds another 2 or 3% to their closing costs. Some buyers will just not look at any home that isn't offering compensation. And many agents are really intimidated by having this conversation with their clients. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it's just the way it is. And so when people are not offering compensation to buyer's agents, you don't want to do anything in a softening market to discourage anyone from showing the property or bringing an offer. You're limiting your pool of buyers, and for the quote unquote 2% you think you're going to save, you're going to end up turning off maybe 10% of the potential buyers you have, and it's going to get negotiated anyway. They're going to ask for it. The problem is it's already distasteful to the buyer and to the buyer's agent, and you may end up losing them because of that. So it's pay a fair commission or compensation to attract people. It's part of the whole offering on the property, and something that we really believe in. If you have an investment property and you're going with an auction strategy where your price is significantly below perceived market value and you're going to get multiple bids, then that's something to consider. But right in this current market, my experience tells me that is not a great strategy. Those are some tips and some things that are happening in the marketplace to get your home sold for top dollar at the price and terms you want. Thanks again for listening to the Dustin Oldfather Show. Before you go, here's something special we do for our private clients. Every week, our team scrubs both on-market and off-market properties so we can uncover what we believe are the best deals in the entire market. We send out one short email to our VIP list with all the details. There's no fluff, just a real opportunity. If you'd like early access to those weekly picks, head over to www.theoldfathergroup.com and sign up for our VIP Deal of the Week notifications. It's fast, it's free, and it just might lead you to your best big move. And hey, if you got value from today's episode, would you do me a quick favor? Leave a review, share it with a friend, or tag us on social. We'd love to hear what resonated with you and keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay confident, stay inspired, and I'll see you back here real soon.